I've been wholesaling in the Midwest for the past few years now. From there, it's been definitely a slow journey. I actually just shut off all my cold calling, texting, and mail, and just am now focusing on this.
But what's your cost per lead? Because it went kind of crazy with you because it was like so low.
The cost per lead was about 35.
That's crazy, bro.
Yeah.
So you're kind of spending 2 to 3 grand started, and then you got 3, 4 deals out of that super quick. So the ROI probably paid for itself within the first month.
Like I cut all my marketing expenses, and that's getting us, I mean, consistently at least 3 leads a day, if not like 5 to sometimes up to 7 leads a day.
What's up, guys? I got my guy Riley over here. Do you want to give us a little background on yourself, your market, and all that stuff?
Yeah, so I've been wholesaling in the Midwest for the past few years now. My primary market was always Wichita, Kansas. Recently, I had expanded into a couple of different counties in Oklahoma as well. So I've been strictly wholesaling, since I started. I did, I tried flipping here and there, didn't go too well. But yeah, I mean, once when I had graduated high school, kind of got into the real estate game, was sort of just looking for something a catalyst to get me out of having to go to college. So convinced my parents that that was going to be the ticket and that would work out. Didn't really work like that. It took a while to see success, but over time, eventually got my first deal. From there, it's been definitely a slow journey. But yeah, I've been uh, like I said, just wholesaling, kind of, you know, slowly growing and struggling, but trying to scale over time.
Yeah, it's funny because we met a few years ago,
Hmm.
and I think we were both starting to start scaling, and then it's funny that we ended up kind of working together a couple years later. But if you don't mind telling us kind of like the team size and what you were doing before in marketing before you started working with us.
Yeah, so team size as of right now, it's just me. I have one acquisition manager who's based in the US. I have a follow-up specialist slash lead manager um, based in Brazil, and then I have an admin assistant. So that's my entire team right now. Um, and then you said you asked as far as what I'm doing for marketing.
Yeah, like what you were doing for marketing before and what we're doing right now, and kind of how that's going.
Yeah. Before, man, it was I feel like I've gone through a lot of cycles trying a bunch of different stuff, having some success with some channels and other channels just failing miserably. So um, I started kind of like everyone else, cold calling, hiring a VA, cold calling myself, and then getting into SMS. That's kind of been my primary thing um, since starting was SMS. And, I've had a texter that will just freaking send thousands of texts every day. You got to make sure they have enough records and just a huge hassle. So cold calling and texting. I did mail for, I don't know, 2 years, which turned into my primary revenue source. Um, so I had those going, and then as of recently, I mean, I kind of just went all in on Facebook.
Yeah. Can you tell us what made you want to look into this a little bit further when it came to the inbound and like learning it yourself?
Yeah, well, I just saw I started by seeing the stuff you were posting. I'm like, no, he's not getting leads for 20 bucks. Like that's just not how it works. There's no way that's possible. Um, and then I remember I reached out to you, like just asking you more questions about it, like how it works. And then you kind of explained that, you're doing it yourself. And I had always thought like for PPC and for Facebook, like, no, you need an agency. You need a professional, someone that's trained in this, that knows how to work with the algorithm and whatever story I was trying to tell myself to avoid the work. But I just didn't think that that was possible. So yeah, I saw you, posting your success with it, and then got curious. And once I actually saw that it was real and possible, then I kind of just jumped in from there.
Yeah. Can you kind of talk about the results you've had? Because you're one of the crazy clients that we just set up, and it was like super smooth sailing from the get-go, which was kind of crazy. But can you kind of talk to us about your experience with that?
Yeah. Um, I mean, I've had like there's have been some ups and downs here and there, like since starting it, because I started a little slow just to kind of test it out, and then as I am seeing the leads come in and that like, yeah, it actually is working, I'm just starting to pour more and more into it. So um, when I first joined the program, we went through, we set everything up, and I think I just filmed like one or two ad copies myself. I don't even think we tested any images, or it was really just those two videos. Tested those in only two markets, and that started doing really well. So we let that run, um, and I mean, shoot, we locked up like pretty quickly. We locked up like five contracts. A few of those, unfortunately, didn't end up panning out, but that once I saw the proof of concept, at least like, okay, we got like this is generating deals. I spent like what, 2 grand on ads, and
Yeah.
like already like contracts are coming in. Whereas with mail, it's like you got to spend 5K to like hopefully get a deal.
Yeah.
Um, so once I saw that, I continued kind of feeding more budget into it, started testing more creatives, um, and then as of like, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, I actually just shut off all my cold calling, texting, and mail, and just am now focusing on this.
Yeah. What's your cost per lead? Because it went kind of crazy with you because it was like so low.
So between my Kansas and Oklahoma markets, which was I think a total of, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 counties, 3 cities. The cost per lead was about 35. I want to say it would range between like 28 to like 37. Um, and then I started testing a somewhat nationwide campaign, with like just a ton of like 100, 120 different cities across the country. And I think as of right now, that campaign is at like $11 a lead.
That's crazy,
Yeah.
bro. So you're kind of spending 2 to 3 grand started, and then you got 3, 4 deals out of that super quick.
Mhm.
So the ROI probably paid for itself within the first month, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I was able to go and like I cut all my marketing expenses, and I think as of right now, I have my budget set to like, I don't know what it is per day, but 3, 4 grand a month. Um, and that's getting us, I mean, consistently at least 3 leads a day, if not like five to sometimes up to 7 leads a day. Just,
Yep.
3, 4 grand a month throwing at Facebook. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's good. Did you had any fears before like looking into this? What was like your biggest concern?
Um, Biggest concern was I just thought it was super complicated. Um, I thought I'd have to spend weeks watching videos, reading books. I hate reading, so I was like, shoot, I'm probably gonna have to like read up on how to do this. It's gonna be complicated. I thought, maybe I'll throw a couple $1,000s at it, and it just eats my budget up, and I don't see any leads. So that was my fear going into it, which is probably why I like delayed getting into it for so long. Um, Thankfully, that none of those things were true. I mean, after talking with you on our one-on-one calls and then going through the videos, got everything set up, and even just like messing around within the ads manager, you can kind of learn most of it for yourself. Um, and then it's just about like testing what works. So
Yeah.
that took some time just kind of learning, how to use the back end of Facebook. It's, it can be a little daunting at first. Um, but yeah, the so far haven't wasted any money. Every dollar um, has turned an ROI. So yeah,
Yeah. Because I feel like when you started, it took us a couple weeks to get you set up. Because I think you paid, but I was like, oh, I'm like, hey, bro, I need some videos from you. You're like, oh, I'm over here in Hawaii and stuff, and I'm like, okay,
yeah,
let me launch some stuff that I have and see how it performs. But then when you came back and then you recorded the videos that we kind of told you, those performed very well. And I feel like the speed to value is very important, where we need to kind of get to work pretty quick. And the way that we teach it is like, okay, you come in, you get an intro basic course that, it's probably like an hour, but that gives you enough context for us to start working. And then, we kind of set up everything ourselves to get you launched, and then kind of give you context and feedback and coaching on how everything's working on the back end. But we're still kind of working on that, because the main skill that we want to have is like that you guys learn, how to do it yourself. So I think, like, looking back, do you think that it's as complicated as people make it seem?
no, definitely not. I mean, it's definitely not as simple as, signing up with an agency and then just clicking a button and you start getting leads. Like it's not going to be like that because there's such a cost discrepancy there. It's like, yeah, if you want the easiest method and you don't want to do any work, like you're just not into, going setting up your own marketing or whatever it may be, you don't have the time, then yeah, I guess go with an agency, pay $350 a lead, and if you can make it work, cool. Like all power to you. But if you like actually want to maximize your ROI, then yeah, just spend at least a week like learning it, and that's really all it takes. It's like yeah, you don't need an MBA or, or anything to at least get
Yeah.
started and see results.
Because for me, like, what I preach is like simplifying the business. Because as it is, it's like very complex. Real estate, a lot of moving parts. So I'm like, okay, how can we systemize everything and make it more efficient? Where it's like, okay, let's say we market, we get the leads, and our job is just try to contract them and sell those leads. Because at the end, it's just like sales and marketing. But if sales is super important and we never delegate that, why should we delegate the marketing, right? Just like the two most important levers that we can pull from. Um, and what it did in my business was pretty crazy. So I was like, okay, started kind of posting about what I was doing. A bunch of people were like interested. So you were kind of like one of our first clients. And as I saw people getting results, I was like, okay, I mean, we can really do this. And then we made some tweaks of like the style of like coaching and stuff, and thought, okay, what's the best way that we can teach this so that people can start taking action and start getting results from the get-go? Because for you, like, it was pretty quick, but not everyone learns kind of like the same way. So for you, I think for you, like, you just have a good understanding of everything. Some people are not like that and need some, like, they need more support, which is fine. We're here to kind of give you guys the support. But um, yeah, that's kind of like how we go about with the coaching. Can you talk to us about kind of like what the feedback is with kind of like with the team on how we coach you and response time, kind of like all those things?
Yeah, well, first I appreciate you kind of like motivating me to just like jump in and get started. Um, because it took me a while to get there, and then finally I made that decision, and I was still kind of slacking a little bit, and then you guys went in, helped me set up my ads, and then like really showed me that like, hey, this works, and trust the system, trust the process, and get going. Um, yeah, I do appreciate the support there, and then also the the Slack has been great. The Slack and the WhatsApp, just having like being able to go with questions like throughout the week. We have our call on Thursday, which has been great. If I have something that's not as pressing, um, then I can, ask it on the call, and like either you or Paulo, super great, and giving me support on that. And then also, just in our group chats, like something comes up, I'm like, hey, why is this ad getting rejected? And then being able to get instant feedback on that, like because everyone in the group is running campaigns, so it's like, hey, my lead form got rejected because of this question, so change it to this. And it's like, okay, cool. Now I'm off to the races.
Yeah, for sure. Um, what has changed in your, I guess, personal life on, I think, how you go about the business now that, it's kind of more systemized where we're more efficient with the ROI since we're marketing on Facebook, whereas before you were having to do mailers, call calling,
Hmm.
all of that complex moving parts. What has that done in your personal life? And then have you had like any like mindset shifts when it comes to kind of being in wholesale?
Yeah, I definitely have. I mean, really over the past like month, I feel like kind of my hope for the future of the business is like maybe I have a light again. There's like a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah,
Because when you have all these different marketing channels running, they're all like super expensive and they're all getting even more expensive. Like, it's tough to get your cost or your average profit per deal up, but
yep,
the marketing costs can continue to rise and just squeeze you more and more. So I definitely saw that happening. Just stuff getting more expensive, and I remember thinking multiple times, like, I don't even know if I want to do this for much longer. Like, trying to think of
yeah,
trying to think of
I've been
other
there.
other opportunities. Like, I remember going to freaking ChatGPT, like, based off my current experience with things, is there anything else I could do right now? um,
That's
so
so funny.
yeah, I mean, since like learning the skill or owning this skill, it's kind of given me hope. Like, all right, if you're reversing the engineer the numbers, like if I spend this much and my sales process is dialed in, then I can do this much in revenue. And if I can do this much in revenue, then I'm good. Like, I don't have to constantly worry about, oh, well, this channel's performing better, so I'm going to move this budget over here and pull this lever. And, you know, on top of that, a million different KPIs to track. So it's like,
Yeah,
it's made things way more simple and yeah, kind of given me, um, it has like opened my mindset to, um, I don't know, I'm a little more excited about the business now than than I was before. I was kind of getting a little doom and gloom.
yeah. It's funny because I went through the exact same thing. I think it was late last year where I kind of was looking at all my conversions, KPIs. It took me like 2.5 years to track my KPIs, and that was like one of the worst mistakes like I've done. Um, but in December of last year is when I took a look into my business and I was okay, I've made like millions of dollars. I'm like, where's my money? And of course, like as you start the business, you are very green. Like you don't know how to be a business owner. You make mistakes and you're gonna keep on making mistakes. But in the beginning, um, I was making like all this money and I'm like, okay, well, where's my money, right? So it kind of made me kind of look into it and be like, okay, what's the biggest bottleneck that I need to fix? And then looking at the channels is like, okay, my best channel is giving me like a 4.5, which was PPC. And then I spent all this extra money, I think over $120,000 over 2024 on stuff that gave me like a 1 to 2x. And I'm like, I don't like this. And then reading the $100 million leads book, when Hermosi talks about when he figured out how to run Facebook ads, that's when it sparked my idea because I already had agencies that were running my Facebook stuff and I got like a 2x, but I would see the ads that they were running and I'm like, this doesn't seem too hard to learn. So I paid one of my friends that worked at Facebook and then she kind of taught me the rundown on how it works. And then I just went to town and started testing like a bunch of different ads and I started having success pretty quick. And then as I closed like the first couple deals, I was like, damn, like this is good. Because now we're like at a 10x, and we're spending probably like 10K, less than 10K a month. If not, I think we've made probably like over 400 to 500. And now we're doubling down even more on Facebook. So what it did for my business, it's crazy. And I just getting like a 4x, like I don't think I think we work way too hard to just get a 4x, right? We want at least like a 10x, 12x, 13x, because if you simplify the business and you don't have this huge like operation that's like bloated, you end up making way more money than just like spending over multiple channels. And you can get very good at just one channel and you end up making way more money. So that's what sparked this whole idea of coaching, because I never wanted to get into coaching because I was like, okay, what value can I sort of like provide? But after paying like everyone and then learning how to do this, I saw like a big gap in the market because everyone's doing the exact same thing when it comes to like hiring agencies and stuff. And I'm like, okay, let's flip this on its head and be like, okay, how can we become more efficient? Because as you said, the cost per deal, you can only increase it by so much, but the cost per contract, you can decrease that by having like a good ad, especially on inbound and social media with Facebook. It's interactive, so the better that your ad is, the lower that your cost is going to be because it's better than something else, and you can make changes way quicker. But then we also talked about the sales process, and we kind of taught you a little bit on our process with novations and stuff. And I know that you implemented them. Sorry, crushing that about with those. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, that's one of the keys to the success I started seeing early on, um, since starting the Facebook ads is implementing novations. Um, I mean, um, before joining the program and like talking with you about novations, like I knew what it was. I've seen gurus talk about it, whatever. But um, again, another another thing, I was like, oh, it's too complicated, too many moving parts. Like I'd rather just stick to what's simple and what I know works. Um, and then I saw you having massive success with it. Like when you pair the Facebook ads with knowing the novation process, um, I mean, your ROI can be exponential. So I went
Yep.
from, now I have not closed one yet, but I went from like having no desire to do it whatsoever, to within a couple of months we have three novations active on the MLS right now, and then two that should be next week, with I think three of those from Facebook. So I mean, without without talking to you about that, I mean, I probably would have been still like scouring for these low-hanging fruit wholesale
Oh.
deals.
So once everything closes, what do you think your average profit per deal was, and what do you think it's going to be now that you implement innovations?
Um, my profit per deal, it's being in these smaller Midwest cities, I've never been able to get it over like 10K per deal. Implementing novations and doing it like nationwide, basically, I think that um, within the next, once these close, like, let's give it 60 days, I think my average deal size will probably be 15 to 20. And then maybe by the end of the year, could get that up to 25, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's crazy. Because if you double your LTV and then you're decreasing your cost per acquisition,
Hmm.
if you spend the same amount of money, you're pretty much like doubling your business, which it all comes down to the bottom line, right? It's all extra profit because you became more efficient. So, when people come in to the program, yeah, like the main thing that we help with is marketing, but like I said, like I've invested so much money in this extra stuff that we can just help you implement the different things. If it's like sales process, KPIs, hiring, onboarding, different things. And I think that as long as you have access to like a ton of resources that we can help with. And for you, I mean, you've implemented a ton of those things, and if you've made crazy improvements. So I'm very proud of you. Um, and I love that you just keep on crushing, just getting all these deals, right? Um, what do you think? Why do you think that most wholesalers fail?
Um, Shoot, I mean, there's endless reasons. I think, well, newer wholesalers probably fail that because they don't or they underestimate um, the, I guess, the amount of activity that it actually takes to, number one, generate a lead and then generate enough leads to close a deal. Like, I mean, most of the time, your first three, four, five, 10 leads, like most likely aren't going to be a deal unless you're insanely lucky. And if your first lead that comes in is a deal, then you should probably go to the casino and start playing blackjack or something. But
Yeah.
so I think that's part of it is underestimating the amount of activity that it takes to generate a deal because you are getting a pretty, most of the time, getting a pretty massive payout. Um, and you can't just, cold call for 2 hours and expect someone to be willing to sell at, 50 cents on the dollar. So,
Yeah.
um, and then like more experienced wholesalers and business owners, I think probably one of the big reasons is just overinflated teams and spending way too much on marketing, ROI going down month over month, which is what was happening to me. And yeah, I mean, if I didn't make a change, like, I don't know if I'd still be doing this, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that getting your first couple deals is the hardest, and then when you get those deals, I think you just need to reinvest that into like more coaching to do things better, and then that way you have a blueprint. So that's why I'm huge like on coaching. I've invested a lot of money in coaching. It's always given me an ROI, but yeah, just kind of having a game plan and system where everything just is more efficient is super important. But what do you think has been what do you think has helped you the most with our coaching?
Um, Number one, implementing the novation strategy. I had a ton of questions about it at first, and kind of getting over that hump of like not looking at it as this huge scary thing, I guess, that's gonna like take a ton of work and people aren't gonna go for it and whatever. Getting over that, so that's been huge. And then yeah, like I said, just the constant support in our group chats. Like if I have something um, that's going wrong or I need troubleshooting, then I have people that I can reach out to that we're all doing the same thing, have the same goal. So we can look at other people's accounts and be like, hey, this is what's working, this is what's not, and we can bounce ideas off each other. So that's probably been the most beneficial for me for sure.
Yeah, because I think it only took like two calls for us to go over the novation program, the novation kind of like strategy, and you nailed it. Um, what do you think? Like, what skills do you think you have that make you really good at this?
Um, Shoot, I don't know. I mean, I'm really not great at sales. I'm not, wouldn't say I'm a great CEO, business owner. I don't know. I think that, I mean, if I see something that works, like I'm gonna implement it as fast as I can. Um, and I don't know. I think I have a pretty high risk tolerance. Not that I'm like, gonna go out and take
Gambler.
on a bunch of debt, but it's like, I mean, shoot, I kind of threw away all my all my marketing because I'm like, hey, I got a little success with this. I see that it's working. Like, let me throw this away and go all in on this. So,
Yeah,
um, but other than that, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I don't have any like special skills. Like I'm not some sales ninja or whatever. I wanted to do this, so there's a pretty clear steps and instructions on how to get started and how to have success. And there's tons of
yeah.
people that already know how to do it, so you don't really need to be, you don't need to be,
Reinventing the wheel.
yeah, you don't need to reinvent the wheel or be some, freaking high IQ like Alex Hermosi type dude. You just just follow, what other people are doing to see success and do it enough times.
Follow the plan. Yeah, I think for you, just like we could sum it up. It's just like taking action and then having a plan and just follow through.
Hmm.
and then just keep on showing up and doing it, because I think you're kind of like my ideal client, that they just come in, they do the work, they show up, and they just keep on doing it and taking action. I feel like a lot of people have like limited beliefs, where I feel like the mental attitude is very important, because if you don't believe that you can do something, you're always going to be shooting yourself in the foot. But if you have that mentality, like, hey, I'm gonna go out here and just try my best and do it, then if everyone's having success, why not you, right? I mean, we're nothing special. Like, I consider myself the same. Like, I'm nothing special. I just think that what I do very well is like I take action pretty quick, and then I have a disproportionate amount of belief in myself, because it comes indirectly just from just like having like doubt and fear and stuff, where when I feel those things, it's like, okay, let me just get to work and do the thing. And I think it's okay to have doubts, and to be afraid, but you need to take action on those things, and then just negate that with like extra volume and extra work, and just putting in that extra time, because if you do that consistently enough, you're going to have success no matter what. There's no way that over a long time horizon you keep on trying and you don't win, right?
Yeah, exactly.
um, so I think that's how I would kind of break it down. But if you would describe our program in one sentence, how would you describe it?
One sentence. Hmm, I don't want to be corny and be like life changing or something. I don't know. Let me think of something more practical. Um, I guess that would be it. Practical and applicable.
Yep. Practical. I like
It's
that.
not like a bunch
Yeah.
of motivational fluff, like, the videos about how to have a sales mindset. Like it's like, no, this is what you do to get leads in the door, and here's how you can increase your ROI, and just follow the instructions and see results.
Follow a plan.
Hmm.
Um, would you recommend our program to someone else?
Definitely.
Why? What do you think makes us different than some of the other stuff that's out there?
I mean, I've been a part of multiple programs and courses, and I mean, a lot of them, there's some that are like, it's a bunch of fluff and it's about um, all this motivational stuff. And I mean, that's important for certain case scenarios, but not when you're, really trying to like getting in the weeds of building a business, trying to um, get an ROI. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I like that it's everything in there. It's super simple to follow. Like everything is very step by step with support along the way. And it's not like, oh, here, pay me 12 grand and I'm gonna hop on a Zoom call with you once a week and do a Q&A. Like I've been a part of those, and it's like it's honestly ridiculous what coaches can get away with. But it has been, yeah, it's been well worth it. I mean, I've spent more on agencies in a month than on this program, and I've seen
Yep.
zero results with these agencies, and I've got immediate results with the program. So
Yeah, that's huge. So I think, what is your goal now? Like, how big do you want to scale? What's your 6 month goal?
6 month goal, really just keep like a small team. Don't get too um, don't get too excited. Try to hire people and scale marketing like crazy. Like just keep the same team, um, and then really just increase profitability. That's because that's been um, the weak point in my business for so long, is like just these cycles where one month is amazing, feel on top of the world, and then the next month I'm like, yeah, I don't even know how I'm gonna um, how I'm going to pay these people. So
Yeah.
increase my profitability, and I would say, as I'm moving towards, like I shut off all these marketing channels, going all in on Facebook. Um, I really want to get to like 10, 15 leads a day, and then if I can get to within 6 months, 10 to 12 contracts a month, Facebook alone, then that would be incredible. So that's kind of what I'm shooting for.
Yeah. And it's very doable. As these deals close, we just need to make a marketing plan because if we know our conversions with like lead to contract and average profit per deal and success rate, now we know what we need to spend in order to give the team the opportunities to talk to these leads and close them. So it just becomes like a plan. And once you set it in place, I mean, you just need to stick to the plan and follow it. And now you know like what you're shooting for instead of just throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping that something sticks, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Riley, thank you so much for your time, man.
Yeah. Thank you, bro. It was awesome. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. Thank you so much, brother.
See you, man.